and gentlemen, it says that it's 9 o'clock. I'd like to call to order this meeting. It's a meeting of the Commissioners Court of Cook County, Texas. Today is Tuesday, January the 14th, 2020. It's 9 a.m. in the Central Jury Room of the Cook County Justice Center at 1200 West Pearl, Granbury, Texas. We have with us today a very distinguished member of our clergy here in Cook County. We have Pastor Glenn Ward, who's going to give us the invocation. Welcome, Pastor Ward, and again, thanks, Dr. Bill Miller, for arranging our pastors to come here. Dr. Ward.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. The Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy, and he said, I urge then, first of all, that requests, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving be made for everyone, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. This is good and pleases God our Savior, who wants all people to be saved and come to a knowledge of the truth. The famous theologian Karl Barth said, to clasp the hands in prayer is the beginning of an uprising against the disorder of this world. And because Paul said that, and in that spirit, I'd like to say I'm pleased and honored to be here to pray for our Commissioners Court this morning. Dear Lord, you are worthy of all praise and adoration, and I thank you for who you are and all that you're doing for your glory and our good. May we join you in your work, in your kingdom, in our various responsibilities. Thank you for our elected officials in this room who serve our county. As you instructed us in Paul's letter to Timothy, we pray for those in authority, asking for your divine wisdom and discernment as they make decisions and take actions that will impact the lives of our community. And Father, as we are beginning a new year and even a new decade, may your presence lead us. As Moses prayed, that you would lead him and not send him if he would not go with him. And as you told Jeremiah, ask where the good way is and walk in it. I pray that you will show our leaders the good way and enable them to walk in it so that you will be glorified and we will be blessed. Father, in these days we need you desperately. Please bless these who are in positions of leadership and authority. We lift them up to you. May they be surrendered to your wisdom and your guidance. And we praise you for using them in their service. And we ask all this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Now would everyone join me in a pledge to the allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please join me in the
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Pastor Ward. Very nice. Okay, are there any special presentations? I guess not. No. Okay. All right. If any citizens would like to speak about anything that's on the agenda, Sheriff Deeds has some public participation forms that you can fill out and give to the sheriff, and the sheriff will give them to us, and when we get to that particular item that you wish to speak on, we will call you up and you will get 5 minutes to state your position. Okay, the next item then is the consent agenda. And before we vote on the entire consent agenda, we would like for Constable Shirley to approach with his and say something. And are you going to join him down there, or?
No, I'll just let them have the floor.
Okay, good. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Today I come before you asking for you to approve the appointment of Mark Neerman as my Reserve Deputy Constable. Mr. Neerman has over 30 years' experience in law enforcement and is honorably retired from the U.S. Army at the rank of Colonel. He's going to be a huge benefit to Precinct 2 and Hood County as a whole, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can add to my quiver of arrows.
Great. All right. You got anything to say?
Just happy to serve, sir.
Very good. Glad to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Privilege.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you.
Now I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
That's, okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion's been made and second. Motion made by Commissioner Cotton, second by Commissioner Eagle to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, that brings us down to business to be discussed and considered for approval, road operations. We're pleased to have Mr. Don Lenny back. We've been missing you, Mr. Lenny.
Good morning, Judge Massengill, Commissioners. Road operations and working with the purchasing department, we've finally got a spec for the expansion of our existing pole barn. We have come up with a very comprehensive packet to send to bidders to look at this and make their bids. We're just asking the court's permission to go ahead and go out and solicit those bids.
Good.
No, do we need anything else other than
No,
just?
Don and I can work on it.
So we need a motion on that?
Yes.
Now I'll
Yep.
make that motion to the approval of the solicit bids for the construction and project of the extending and enlarging of the equipment pole barn at the central barn.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Cotton to allow Mr. Lenny to solicit bids for the construction project of extending and enlarging the equipment pole barn at the central barn, second by Commissioner Deaver. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Lenny. Okay. Mr. Clint Head, any development? No, sir. You have nothing to say? Okay, good. Okay. Then we move on to the financial. Ms. Becky Kidd.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. There's a correction on the expenditures for January 14, 2020. That amount is $857,296.20. I'm going to get that clarified. Thank you, Commissioner Cotton, for bringing that to my attention. And we have reviewed all these invoices and wonder if you have any questions regarding payments over $10,000 or any other expenditures that you've received advance notification of.
I got one question on the roofing. Are we done? Is that the last payment?
Yes.
Good.
And we'll talk about that remaining balance in a little bit.
Okay.
We're happy about that.
Yes, very happy.
But if
No
there
more
are-
leaky roofs, right?
Oh, thank you, Lord. No more troughs. If there's no questions, just want to let you know we have reviewed all these invoices, and the auditor's office recommends payment.
You mean Commissioner Cotton caught that error?
Yes, he did.
Well, you know, she told me to read that check register every time, so I did.
Hey,
Yes.
congratulations here to my esteemed gentleman on my right here. That's something here, okay? So do we have a motion here to approve payment of the invoices?
Motion so moved to pay the bills.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Deaver to approve the bill expenditures of $807,000.
157.
No, you said it's 807? Is that the-
857,
Oh, 857 instead of 854?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 857, 296.20.
Second.
And second by Commissioner Cotton. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
thank you,
Okay.
gentlemen.
Okay, the next item under miscellaneous is consider and take appropriate action to award a contract on RFP 2019-012 for salary compensation study. Ms. Nelda Walters.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm going to do my little spiel like I always do. RFP 2019-012 Salary Compensation Study was published on 11/9/2019 and 11/16/2019. Responses were due on 11/26/2019 at 2 p.m. The responses to the RFP were opened in the purchasing department at that time. Hood County received 3 responses to the request for proposal. A team of 4 evaluators was formed and were given proposal copies. They were instructed to read each proposal and then answer the grading criteria questions and give a numeric score for each question. Each question was weighted as to the significance of importance with a max score for each question. You should have received a copy of each evaluation in your packets. Each vendor's scores were tallied. The numbers were then added and divided by 4 to come up with a scoring average. The vendor with the closest score to 100 was selected. Questions were submitted to Evergreen Solutions and were answered with good response. Based on those answers, it's the recommendation of purchasing in conjunction with the Human Resources Department to award this contract to Evergreen at a cost of $32,000, but with additional monies of $13,000 allowed in case more time is needed. One of the things in the contract is if more time is needed, they charge at a specific rate per hour. Commissioner Deaver and I worked on this, and mainly him, I should say. And he wants to allow for us to have a possible 2 weeks if needed. We're hoping we won't need that time. But that way, if we have the money already set here, we can just proceed and let it be a smooth transition into getting it done. We would like it to be awarded at $45,000 out of Fund 55, with the note that the contract will only be for 32 unless we need additional time.
Judge, that extra $13,000, if we need them to come down here and do some shadowing, and that's kind of what they say, the shadowing of departments, where they go in and watch how they work and study how they work and how much they do. I mean, I know there's a lot of questions before when we had this on the agenda and we tabled it. And I think the representative is here too for the court to ask questions, and I don't know which one.
His name is Jeffrey Ling. Mr. Ling, would you come up here?
But this extra $13,000, I'd like to budget for it, but if we don't have to use it, we don't have to use it. And on the phone conversation with this gentleman, he said they work out of the Metroplex, and if they're in the area, they'll come down and not charge us no fee. So a lot of the stuff coming back and forth, we may not even have to pay. But I wanted to put that extra cushion in there just in case we need to do some more investigation on each department a little more.
And he is here today in case y'all have questions that you wish to ask of him.
Okay. You have some questions, Mr. Deaver? Or have you?
Well,
Thank you for coming down, first
yes,
of all.
I
Appreciate
know
it.
when we had this on the agenda before, some of the court members said, well, I'd like to have more questions, and that's why I had Mr. Lynch.
Ling.
Ling is here to answer the questions. And of course, I was in the survey when we had him on the phone conversation, talking to him about this and that, and Melissa, the HR and purchasing, was in on that conversation. So I just wanted him to come here if the court had any more questions on what we're going to do with this program.
I got a question, Mr. Ling. Can you give a short summary of what your services y'all are willing to do for the county?
It's our understanding that the county is interested in examining not only the classifications, but the compensation level. And so our approach typically includes meeting with employees, explaining to them the process, meeting with them and asking them a series of questions about their jobs. There's also a survey about their job. Each employee will be asked to complete, takes about 20 to 30 minutes, survey about what do they do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. We'll also then validate that information with their supervisors. So there's a series of meetings with supervisors. Then we go out and select peer organizations within your local area to compare the pay practices and the jobs too. And then we come back and report to you on what we found in that regard. And so the recommendations could include changes to the jobs, potentially. So the title could change, the level that a person is working at could change as part of this process. But many times the greatest level of interest resides with the pay. To what degree should they be paid based on what we found? Those jobs will be paid among their peers.
So you're going to compare us to certain counties also?
Yes, sir, we would do that.
So going into the budget, I know three of you guys just went through one budget. I know I've been here 7 years, and every time we had departments, my clerk does different what this clerk does. My clerk does different than this. And this is what this survey is for, to identify the jobs, what each clerk does, and not merely the clerks. It's road ops, it's the fire marshal, the sheriff department. It's a pretty in-depth study of what each department does and what their employees, whether they're clerks, road hands, patrol deputies, whatever, they're going to clarify what they do and give us more information and probably do a recommendation that we're overpaid or underpaid or we're good.
Yes, sir, that would be part of the process.
Are y'all going to present a salary plan, like step plan like we have now?
We would come back and present a plan for what you might utilize going forward and ask for your support. And yes, a step plan or an open range plan, we would come back and recommend one of those two options. We would slot each job into that plan. So we would tell you this position, equipment operator would be paid at this level. This would be the earning potential of an equipment operator. A constable would have this earning power. A deputy would have this earning power. A clerk would have this earning capability. And then we would also recommend where the individuals would be placed. And so if I am in one of those jobs, we'd also share with you, based on that range or based on that step plan, what step should I reside at based on my experience, my contribution to the county, other factors that might go into that placement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
His company does have experience with other counties, so I don't think this is probably anything new to you. So.
No, we although we're based in Tallahassee, Florida, we have a one-person office in Austin. And for many years, we had a larger office in Austin, and consulting is something that when folks have a family, they want to spend a little more time at home. And so the person's a senior member of our firm is located in Austin, but you would be supported with a combination of folks out of Tallahassee. But we do just about anywhere between 10 and 15 studies of this nature in the state of Texas per year. And as Nelda mentioned, we're working in the Metroplex with the Transit Authority in Dallas. Tarrant Community College, we've worked with 4 or 5 different occasions. The Brazos River Authority here that has a facility locally, we've worked with 4 or 5 different times. Most of the county work we're doing currently is more on the east or the south side of Texas right now. We're not doing as much in West Texas, but we're doing quite a bit in the Metroplex with municipalities versus with counties. And that's, as we mentioned to the commissioner, we'd be happy to come over and not charge you for those additional trips because we have someone in the Metroplex every other week. And so that person easily could be able to come over if you wanted us to shadow some employees and not tap into that reserve that you've identified. We're happy to do that as part of the engagement.
Gentlemen, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you also take into consideration the other compensation, the retirement plan, longevity pay, things like that?
Yes, ma'am, we do. So we will take a look at total compensation, so not just the base cash compensation that I receive, but we'll also be looking at the value of those other items. There's a lot of consistency typically among public employers on those things, but sometimes there are unique differences. And we'll also look at additive certification pay and supplements, so things that will vary somewhat by counties or by municipalities.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Yeah, I got a couple. So, well, give me an example of when you say peer organization, what is that? And then how many do you foresee, how many, I guess, test copies or studies would you do to come up with where, your conclusions?
At the beginning of the process, after we collect data from you and receive an employee census, and we come on site and we meet with your employees and have an opportunity to find out what they do, to hold those meetings that I mentioned, we'll identify a set of peers that are within your local area as well as your regional area. And typically that set of peers begins with other public employers. So that will be the school district, there'll be other counties, That'll be municipalities that are within the area. It could be special taxing districts or other districts that are locally as well. Some jobs you'll have more private sector competition. So we will have a discussion with your team that'll work with us about, would you like for us to solicit information from some of the private employers regionally? And many times in those cases, that's for specific jobs that we would identify that you will have a little bit more competition on the private side. We then survey those entities, and they fill out a battery of questions that we send out to them that include their pay ranges, how they move people through the ranges, what they pay as their average actual, so what's the average paycheck among someone in that job that they take home. And then, as I was asked a few moments ago, we'll also ask those benefits questions and those supplemental pay questions, because we know among public employers, the additive supplemental pay, certification pay, many times can increase my pay from anywhere from 5 to 15% beyond what my base pay might be. And so that'll all be collected from those peers. We'll analyze that information, then come back and present to you what we found in that regard. Then the recommendations would come about from that information that we received. It's not a one-to-one recommendation typically. If we find that your peers are paying X, we don't come back and tell you you need to pay absolutely X, but we come back and share that information with you and talk to you about the pros and cons of adopting among those jobs a strategy that takes into account what your peers are doing. And many times what we find, 80-90% of the time, you'll have some jobs that are slightly ahead of the market, some jobs that are at market, and some jobs that are slightly behind the market. It's rare that we find all your jobs fall in one category or another. And so that's all part of that discussion that we have with you to determine where you wish to position yourself going forward.
And what would your timeline be?
We've identified a timeline of roughly 3 to 6 months to complete the process. And so there's to come back to you and share with you that market information, share with you a rough estimation of cost of the different alternatives, that takes about 3 to 4 months. And then there's some work we do with your job descriptions. We train your staff. There's some meetings we hold with employees at the end to share with them what we found that typically occurs in that last month, month and a half, and working with you.
Once we, if we do this contract, once we do, purchasing is out, you're going to be doing most of your conversations with our HR department, right?
Yes, sir. That's
And plus,
correct.
you're going to set us up a system, and for us to upgrade that system every year, is there a charge after the first year?
No, sir. The system we provide free of charge.
Yes.
We host that system for our clients. Although my business partner and I have worked together this is our 26th year working together, we've owned this company for 16 years. And so clients for all 16 years have had free access to that tool. So Brazos River Authority was, I believe, our 18th or 19th client when we started the firm, and we're now almost at 800 clients nationwide. And so she has utilized that system for free for the 15 years that she's worked with us. Every update that comes out each year she receives for free, and that's something we provide as a service, as a thank you to our clients that have entrusted us in working with them.
I understood that in our conversation, but I wanted other court members to be aware of it.
One last thing. So you do work for private sector as well as the public sector?
No, Evergreen is public sector focused only. We have probably worked with 3 private organizations throughout our history, and it's because commissioners that served on the commissioner's court or on the city council owned a private business, and they said, you would be doing me a favor by helping me by coming in and looking at my private business, but no. Our work is public focused only.
Okay.
That's very impressive for me.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's something that Hood County definitely needs, as we've discussed in previous commissioners' meeting. Do we have any further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to award this contract to Evergreen for a total of $45,000. I know the cost is going to be $32,000 for the contract, but I'd like to cushion it a little more. If we don't need it, we don't have to have it, but I'd like to have it in there just in case we need it for $45,000 for Evergreen Solutions.
Okay, a motion been made by Commissioner Deaver to award the contract to Evergreen on the basis of a $45,000, but to have $13,000 to set aside as a reserve in case they need more money to complete the deal. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner White. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of awarding the contract to Evergreen for $32,000 with a cushion of $13,000 if they need more time, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We look forward to working with you, sir.
Same here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Right, that's good. Okay. Item number 2, discuss and consider approval for replacement of the fire alarm control panel at the Law Enforcement Center. I thought this was going to be simple, and now we have 3 people down here, 4 people. That's right.
Good morning, Judge,
Who wants to
Commissioners.
speak first?
I'll go first and explain where your money is.
Okay.
Jay
That'll
Riley.
be fine. I'll pass these out.
No,
Gentleman, Jay has done an outstanding job of management of the roofing project. Because he has done such a wonderful job, we have a reserve of $51,000.
whoa,
So hats off to Jay.
that's worth the clap right there.
And that being said, when you need to
Thank
fund
you.
this project, that's where the money's coming from. And that's all I have.
Good.
While he's handing out the paperwork for this, it is imperative that we do something with this, because without having an alarm system in place that works, then we have to stay on fire watch, and that takes up extra manpower that we don't have. So we're short-staffed as it is in the jail because of vacancies, and so we sure do need to get this fixed.
Jay, you mentioned red tag. Tell us what that is.
Okay, what it is on 12 and 4 of last year, 19, we do an annual fire inspection of the jail. And that's a control panel. That's going to be, what it's going to be is your smoke detectors, your duct detectors, which are going to detect smoke in the ducts. You got heat detectors, you've got pull buttons, everything in that jail to protect it, to give you a warning of a fire. There's 114 devices in that jail. So now that's the jail and the LEC. We actually had 3 failures during that test that were repaired quite quickly. 2 of them were backup batteries and 1 was a smoke detector. That was repaired at the time. I received the summary of deficiencies on 12 and 9 of 2019, and I requested an estimate for repair, what it was going to take. The problem was, and the main problem was, when we tested it, we could not reset the control panel and the strobes. There's also strobe lights that go off. We couldn't reset them. And so the jail at that point, while we were trying to reset the system, was to go on 15-minute fire watch with personnel at the jail. So we were tying up the jailers due to the fact that we couldn't detect anything. What the tech wrote up was that the panel would not silence and restore. That means reset. Even when the alarm was no longer on the panel, the strobes continued to go off. We disconnected the strobes in order to get them to go off because it's quite uncomfortable with those going off. Until we could, we disconnected those from the alarm control panel. What the tech said, he came back and pulled them loose, got everybody off of fire watch at that point. But because we had trouble resetting the panel, he red tagged the system. It's basically no confidence. I received the proposal. I stayed on them. I got the proposal the 7th of this month in the afternoon. And it's what they're telling me is they want to, because ours are old and outdated, and they need to update the control panel. There's 67 smoke detectors, 17 duct detectors, 10 heat detectors, 8 pull stations, and 3 monitor modules, and 1 relay panel. That when they replace the fire alarm panel, the end devices are no longer able to communicate because of the older technology. So they want to replace them. I've been told all this, that everything's obsolete by the company that we currently have a contract with to test our fire alarms, which is Chris Ledoux. But the real problem's the control panel. This has happened before, but not to this extent. Back a year ago, we tested the panel. We had trouble resetting it, and it reset, but they noted it at that time that we had some problems, but it worked. Due to that fact that they wrote that up last year, they didn't red tag us or anything. It was in their file, and they decided to red tag it this time. They said, look, this is an ongoing problem. So I met with them on the 10th. We did a walkthrough, looked at everything. The price was way higher than I thought it would be, what I thought it should be. But I haven't had time to go out for competitive bid, yet I do have one other company coming at 1 o'clock today to take a look at it, so at least I'll get a second opinion on what's going on. I mean, this is urgent. This is something that needs to be done. And, you know, for the price, I think we need to look at it, and at least I would ask that you approve it for at least that price, and I'll do my due diligence, and I'll try to drive that price down if at all possible, while continuing to be able to operate the jail. I do not want the jail to go into a 15-minute fire watch. I don't think we can sustain that.
Now, there is something in the purchasing laws that because it's a public emergency or, you know.
Yes, and that's not, the next item is 9. By law, if it's 50,000 or over, we have to competitively bid it. Well, that's like looking for a needle in a haystack right now when he's trying to get this done. There is under 262.024A2 is an item necessary to preserve or protect the public health or safety of the residents of the county. It is a discretionary exemption that the Commissioners Court can take. And I have the paperwork here that you can sign today if you choose to do that. Otherwise, I don't know what we're going to do.
Who red tagged it?
Chris,
Who's they?
Chris Ledoux. They are a fire inspection company.
And they're the ones that quoted 60,000 too.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we definitely need to move along with this. I hated fire watch when I was in the service. There were some people, I slept with one eye open when they were up on fire watch. You know what I mean? Trusted my life to somebody. I mean, I don't like that. You're short-handed already at the jail. We need to move and move quickly on doing this. You say you meeting with these guys at 1 o'clock this afternoon?
I'm meeting with a second company that, to get their proposal on what it's going to take to repair it. The name of that company is Western State Fire Prevention. They're out of the Metroplex. I think Arlington. I apologize for not knowing where, but I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this as fast as I can. I'm not liking the price any better than anybody else is.
Well, in view of your past record where you just saved us, the county, $51,000, I'd say that you're a pretty good negotiator and pretty good at finding deals. And
He's already set a standard, so.
yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we allow Jay to go ahead and meet with this other guy and see what he could do about negotiating a lower price, but at least let's go ahead and have the money available to him in the amount of, what's the total contract?
$59,459.
Do you think you're going to need any concessions in that? I see the exclusions, there's about 12 bullet points of exclusions that they won't do in case you get into electrical problems, overtime and all that, so.
Right, and I talked extensively to him over the weekend about it, or Friday. We don't foresee any issues, but yet they pull him in there. I was concerned about those myself, and basically I think that we're going to use existing wire. There's no wire needs to be pulled, nothing like that. My thoughts is I should be able to handle anything of that nature in-house. I don't have a contract with them or anything. I don't know. I'm trying to beat them up over that right now.
What would you be safe with about a cushion over the $59,400 about negotiating it with them, or if something about the wiring or with this other company? What would you feel comfortable with if the Commissioners Court would go ahead and allow you a certain sum of money? We know that you're very parsimonious with the county's money, and we like that, so.
Right, and I appreciate your confidence. I'm a little bit out of my element on fire alarm systems, but just looking, you know, I don't see this. I cannot imagine this going over 60,000. I just can't. It doesn't make sense to me, it being any more than that.
Okay. Okay.
It shouldn't be that much.
I hear a motion.
Did you make that motion, Judge?
Judge made the motion.
I'll
Yeah.
make the second, Judge, on that.
Okay, good. So my motion was to go ahead and we're going to combine these two. I mean, it's the same thing on both of them. So this is an emergency situation. I move that we allow Jay Riley to proceed with negotiating with this other company today at 1 o'clock, but that we do approve at least a $60,000 budget for him to replace the fire alarm panel at the law enforcement center.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Deaver. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay,
I'll do my
thank
best
you.
to get it lower than that.
Okay. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, so that takes care of Nelda's concern on 3, so we're down to number 4. Number 4, item 4, discuss and take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to sign the county video program agreement with CGI Communications. Now, I've been approached by these people, and I've done a little investigation on my own, and I have gotten responses all over the place. I've got that they're good, and then I've gotten some situations that they're not so good, and that they could use some high-pressure tactics on the good citizens and business here of Hood County. So, and I've also talked to Drew about this too. So Drew,
Judge,
tell us what you
Commissioners.
think.
Yes, you've described it very well. I've also dug into it a little bit, and of course, I have results from both sides. I've talked to Nin from the city, who actively uses this company, and of course, he speaks highly of them. But I've also speak with Judge Cochran's, the previous judge's staff, and Mike Scott from the chamber, who have speak negatively. So really, I couldn't give you an answer based on, who I've talked to. But if you would like to listen to their statements, because I believe Nin and Mike Scott are both here, and then make a decision off of what they provided today.
Let me ask you this before we get to it. I'd like to hear from both of them. I know see Mr. Mayor here, and I also see President Mike Scott here, so we'll hear from both of them. But can Green Fox or somebody like that that's here in the county, can they make a video like that since they live here? Because I understand CGI is in Rochester, New York.
Yes,
and
sir.
the money would go from to them, and if I can keep money local.
Absolutely.
For our citizens and our business, that's what I would like to do.
I don't
So-
see why you couldn't, to be honest with you. That would be a decision, of course, for the court.
Well, okay. Okay.
I can answer that if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, please, let's hear from Mr. Scott, and then we'll hear from you, Mr. Mayor, okay?
Yes, sir. Judge, Commissioners, Judge, you already pretty much covered my concerns, and that's the fact that we have 10 years ago, in a study we did, we had $780 million leaking outside of this county in retail dollars. So my number one concern is we don't need to be sending advertising dollars to Rochester, New York. And I understand. I found out last week that the city was involved with them, and it's real easy, the way they come at you. And I signed a 3-year contract with them back in 2009, and it's because everything's free. They've got a $10,000 or $12,000 program they're going to give you that's free of charge. Well, nothing's really free. So what happens is they then use your name and my name, and with what I would call fairly high-pressure marketing tactics, and start calling the business community and say, and I don't know what they're doing today, this is 10-year-old information, but they start calling the business community and say, we're working with Judge Massengale on this video project, and he thinks, or maybe we think that you would like to have a part of it. And so that's kind of so I began, first of all, it was difficult to get the video created. It's going to be a lot of work for whoever does it. And quite honestly, the quality was not what we thought it was going to be. Again, my information is about 10 years old. So it was not a real fun experience. And then about a year into it, we began to get complaints from the business community that, I spent $10,000 with these people, and I saw zero return. We had one financial consultant firm here in town that was really upset with it, and other issues. So I don't want to go deeply into that. I mean, I'm not bashing this company. I'm just telling you what happened. I mean, they're nice folks. I dealt with them for 3 years, but I will tell you that I was happy to be out of it, because we got tons of phone calls from businesses, and that's what happens. I mean, we have people every year when we do our map, we have 2 or 3 companies that come in here at exactly the same time and start making phone calls saying, hey, we're working with the chamber on a map, would you like to advertise? And it turns out it's not the chamber map, it's just a map. So we're constantly fighting that off. Finally, I would just tell you, and again, after I found out last week that the city was working with them, I did speak to their marketing person, and they seem to be happy with what's going on. But I think there are at least 2 companies here in town that can do a better quality video, and I will tell you that actually yesterday we had a staff meeting, and we're working on an RFP for a video, an economic development video for Granbury and Hood County. So I think if we all got on the same sheet of music, I mean, you've already given us money, provided money to do marketing for economic development, and that's where we're trying to go. So we are going to produce a video, and we have at least 2 firms that we're going to send RFPs out to. So I would just say maybe we ought to step back a little bit and work with Drew and work with the city and figure out get all 3 of us groups together and figure out what kind of video we want to do. That doesn't negate what the city's already doing. And if they're happy, that's great. But again, I hate to see those marketing dollars leak out of our community. So,
Thank you very much. That was
sir.
very good.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I see you got your bodyguard with you here today, Mr. Mobley. Yeah.
Judge and Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak on this case. I went to the judge's office some time ago, and we talked a little bit about that. I wasn't aware at that time that the city had signed another contract, but we have signed a contract with them. So to give the information to the judge that I promised him, and I sent him an email, but he said he didn't read his email, so I'm going to give it to him right here in front of everybody. But I talked to Bethany Warner, our information officer, and she's kind of putting this thing together, and I asked her a little bit about it because, as Mike had talked about, I was involved in it some time ago when they first came to that. And I don't know how new the company was then, or maybe they were doing a little lessons learned or so whatever, but they were pretty aggressive, and they went out and started getting businesses to sign up when probably the video wasn't even completed yet. So there wasn't a lot of people that knew what was going on, and when they started throwing my name or a city manager's name or the assistant city manager, at that time Sherry Husband was kind of ramrodding the thing. And myself, I said, well, you know, wait a minute, I don't know anything about a New York company and all that. So I went back and researched it, and yes, I did know about it, but it was just, it caught me off guard too. So I believe, in talking to Bethany, that they have tried to fix that portion of it, and they've come back and would like to, the opportunity to do this video again. I will tell you, when you talk about having Green Fox or a local company do that, it's going to cost you money. This is free. They do the video, and like Mike said, nothing comes free, but, you know, I've looked around and see, the only thing that I can see that it's going to cost us is the manpower to help do that, because Bethany is going to be involved in it, which we want her to be involved in it so that we know that it's done the right way and stuff. But it gives an opportunity to put different people in front of everybody, whether it be the mayor, the council, the chief of police, some of our other organizations. It puts your community out there in front, and they do a really good video, because I've seen a new one that Bethany showed me that they did for another community, and it was a great, it was a professional video. Once they do this video, they release it to you. You can use it for conferences, you can use it for presentations, you can use it for whatever you want to use it for. Meanwhile, they're going to be out in the community trying to get businesses to put their name on this thing, and that's how they make their money. They're not making their money off of the city. They're just, the city has the video, and so it's a good opportunity to highlight your community. And yes, the city is doing it already. It'd be nice to have the county also, so we could have one big package where when we do look at this video, it has everybody involved in it. Bethany highly recommends it, so when I talked to her, she's excited about it and thinks that it's a pretty good thing, pretty good deal for the city. So that's my answer to you, Judge, and so I hope that helps you out in making your decision. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Can I ask how long have you been doing it, how long have you been doing this with CGI?
Well, we did one other one for, I think ours was a 3-year contract, and this one here is a 3-year contract too. So it's a tag on, so that ours expired, I believe, and now. It is an all-new video, though. They do a whole brand new, and matter of fact, I've got to go get out in front of the camera and all this and start my part of it and everything else. But they do it, you know, and we get to select what we want to, or help select what we want to put on this video and stuff. And like I say, it's our video to use for that duration. Anything, you know, they turn it over to us.
Have you got any complaints from businesses that they're being harassed?
Well, the prior one, like I said, people would call me and say, hey, Nan, this company came out here from New York and they're talking about, you know, I'd like to buy into this, but is this legit? And at that time, it even got me off guard, because we went through it and I wasn't, you know, I had to stop and think, who is this from New York? And then after I went and researched, I said, yeah, I'd go back to it and said, yeah, it is legit. We have signed up with this company, and then have to go through that spiel. This time, from according to Bethany, they're going to put that out, and they're going to make sure that they've got everything in place first, and that the community is aware of it before they go out there and start marketing the community to put their businesses on this. So it's probably lessons learned, because that you know, just it hit me by surprise as it did some of the people in the chamber and this and that. I mean, this company was out here, you know, already marketing it, and the ink wasn't even, I mean, the video wasn't even out yet, you know, so.
What do? They have their name at the end, they show the video, and then you say they produce the video first. Right. Well, how does the advertiser?
They add it to it.
They add it to being sponsored by
right.
HEB,
as they get them,
Kroger,
as they get them, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to respond to that briefly?
Yes, sir, if you don't mind. I guess, well, I lost my train of thought there. I guess my part of it, and I don't disagree with the mayor, and they seem to be happy with it. I will tell you, when I talked to Bethany, I just thought, I mean, her main response to me was, it's free, why would we not do it? and the problem is, once you've signed a 3-year contract, you are in it. I tried to get out of my contract, and I couldn't, and at the end of 3 years, I was happy. It's kind of like somebody saying, I'll give you a free vacuum cleaner if you'll let me use your name to sell it to everybody else. I mean, I just don't like to see us get used like that, and the bottom line is, and I'm not, again, if the city's happy with them, they can continue to do what they're doing, but I think both the city and the county ponied up money for economic development. This sounds a lot like economic development to me. If we're advertising the city and the county and we're marketing it, and I'd say, so we got a 3-legged stool here, but one leg is being left out of this conversation. So I really would encourage you to maybe slow it down. CGI will always be out there, trust me. They've been around for 20 years. Now, if you decide in a year that you want to go with them, more power to you, but I will tell you that once you sign up for that 3-year contract, you're stuck with it. So, you know, that's just my feeling. I mean, I would rather see it in an economic development type video, similar to what the mayor's describing, which won't take away from the video they already have, and they are in it for 3 years, and I'm sure I'll get some phone calls, and the mayor probably will too. I guess the proof is in the pudding. They have changed their model a little bit, because now on the video, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have advertising on the video. So that's one of the ways, that's one of the things they're selling. And I can understand that a business might like to be on a video, have their logo on a video that the city's putting out, but we can do the same thing, and there are higher quality video companies within our reach that we're talking.
Did I understand you correctly to say that the chamber is going to do a video?
Yes,
of the county?
Literally,
Yeah.
we had a meeting yesterday, and I asked our Vice President for Economic Development to come up with a request for proposal to video companies, and sure, Green Fox will get an opportunity to bid on it, but so will some other companies that we have our hands on that I think, quite honestly, can produce a higher quality video than what we have now. So,
Well, I do like the concept of the city and the county working together. I mean, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
We want to work together and not be competing and be complementary
yeah.
to each other. I'm assuming you would.
Yes, sir. And that's what I'm saying, that Bethany and Drew and Shay can get together and interview these companies. We've already interviewed 2. I just kind of like to slow the train down a little bit and look at it from more an economic development perspective than just a PR type video. And again, I think the city's videos they have, I mean, that's great. And CGI is going to continue to try to sell them to the business community.
Mike, you mentioned a 3-year contract. That's locking us in for 3 years, but not them, probably, right? Say they do this video and don't get enough advertisement, say, it's a waste of money, we don't want to do it, but we're.
Yeah, and if you read the
years.
contract, I mean, it's pretty, you know, we're going to be out there for 3 years selling to your business community.
Yeah.
And they're going to be telling them that we're partnered with the city and the county, and that's okay if that's what you want them to do, but I will tell you, and Judge Cockrum got quite a bit of backlash when the county did it before.
Yeah.
So, you know,
But you see where I was going, if it's a 3-year contract and they're not getting enough advertisement, they can just fold up and go away, right?
I'm sorry?
Say if they're doing a 3-year contract and they're making their money off of advertisement, and they don't get enough advertisement, and they say, we're losing money, we're going to quit. So they can quit any time in that 3 year, right?
I'd have to read the
That's a
contract to
lawyer
tell you
question,
that, but they don't want to quit. I mean, they're going to stay after it for 3
Okay.
years. Like I say, I was just waiting for my 3 years to be up.
Yeah.
I tried to get out of it after the first year and was unsuccessful. And it sounds great. I mean, they're good salespeople.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. So, and again, I mean, and my information's a little bit old, and I'm not disagreeing with the mayor. I mean, if they're happy with it, they're committed. So the business community is going to continue to be approached by CGI for the next 3 years. So I guess the real question is, do you all want to partner with the city on that, or do you want to partner with us? And it won't cost you anything either, because we already have the money. So that's free too, if you look at it that way.
You know, I look at it like this, you know, I'd like to see other options. You know, we have funded $100,000. I'd like for Drew and you to be able to give us some options of what we can do.
That's all I'm asking. Let's just back up. Again, CGI will always be out there. So if you decide in a year you want to go with them, be my guest, so. Thank you for
I got it.
Yes, sir.
So this is going to go down in history as a time that I agree with Mike.
All right.
Because what I'm here, and it's no diss to Mr. Hewitt, but we just went through this on the economic development and set aside monies, as Mr. Scott said. And one of the things that I'm hearing from, even from the mayor, is that it's really difficult to measure what kind of results you're getting. And I've gone out and done quite a bit of research on this company, and there's a lot of bad stuff out there about them. There is some good stuff, but it's not a cut and dry deal where everybody's had a great experience with them. And so, due to the fact that we just signed up with the Chamber and Shea and to do some economic development work, and we're looking for some measurability there. I'd like to figure out how we can measure that at some point. I think that we're muddying the waters by adding something else to the equation. When we can use the city as a guinea pig, they've already got the contract. We can kind of watch what they're doing and see how it works for them. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents.
So after all this discussion, do I hear a motion in regard? Do I hear a motion to table it, a motion to approve it, or a motion to reject it? I guess that's our three options here as I'm listening to it.
I'll make a motion that we pass on this today and to a future date.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion is made by Commissioner Eagle that we pass on voting one way or another with the county video program agreement with CGI Communications. Been seconded by Commissioner Deaver. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you,
So
gentlemen, for
we'll
letting me
look at
look
it
into
and
it.
see what we're going to do. And Mr. Mayor, it's like I said, we're still working together. We've still got meetings coming up, I think, on January.
I'll be the guinea pig.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have used that word, but sacrificial lamb, something like that, more appropriate. Okay, thank you very much. Thank all of y'all very much.
I would like a copy of the minutes that Eagle actually agreed with me about something. I think that'll be down in history. You're right.
And I will be
Progress, right? Progress.
And I will be glad to go ahead and certify them and put the seal to let it give a little bit more authenticity to it, okay? All right. Okay, the next item on the agenda is discuss and take appropriate action to appoint a fire marshal and designate salary. So at this time, we're going to adjourn the meeting and go into executive session here. Regarding this, we'd like to ask Sheriff Dees, would you please join us in executive session? So we're going to, at this time, just recess very briefly and discuss this item and then return. Thank y'all very much. It is now 16 minutes to 11, and we are back from executive session, and I call us back into order. And so while we were gone into executive session, we were discussing the fire marshal and a salary. And after this discussion, is there any of the board members who'd like to make a motion regarding the fire marshal and the salary?
Yeah, Judge, I'd like to make this motion. I'd like to make a point also that this job has been open for about 3 months now. And I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jeff Young, fire marshal, at a starting salary of $64,575 plus cert pay, effective January 20th.
Okay, do I hear a second? I'll second the motion. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 4-1.
Who made the nay?
I did.
Okay.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Okay. So with that done, the next item is number 6, discuss and take appropriate action to approve date change for previously approved event application for the North Texas Austin Healy Club. Date originally requested was April the 18th of 2020. The new date requested is April the 4th of 2020, and 50 parking spaces are reserved. And I noticed that on the next deal that it's really switching with the Relay for Life on that date. Son, is that correct? So does anybody want to discuss that as long as it's open on the calendar, is it not, Alicia? And both the Healy Club and then the Hood County Relay for Life are both acceptable for those dates? Is that why we're doing that?
I see they got their insurance form and all that filled out too also, right?
The Austin Healing Club does, the Relay for Life did not. So I added on the form that the judge signs contingent upon proof of insurance.
Okay, but we can vote on the Austin Healy. They got all their proper forms and everything into place. So do I hear a motion from any of the commissioners regarding item number 7 about the Austin Healy date?
I'll make that motion to have the judge approve that event.
A motion is made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the North Texas Austin Healy Club date originally requested for April the 18th is now changed to April the 4th of 2020, along with 50 parking spaces. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, item number 7, discuss and take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to sign the event application approving the request for the use of the courthouse parking lot for Hood County Relay for Life on Saturday, April the 18th of 2020 from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. And Alicia, you said that you've informed them that they would have to get the insurance application?
Yes, on the form of contingent.
Yeah. So what we would do here is make a motion subject on the condition of them maintaining or obtaining an insurance policy. Do I hear a motion from any of the commissioners?
I'll make that motion pending that they get their insurance forms filled out.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Deaver to allow the Hood County Relay for Life to use the courthouse parking lot on April the 18th, 2020 from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. condition upon them obtaining the proper insurance coverage. Second by Commissioner Cotton. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 8, discuss and take appropriate action to allow county judge to sign letter to Tyler Software to allow the audit information technology and district judge departments access to Odyssey records and financial reports currently under the sole control of the district clerk. Any discussion? Ms. Kidd.
This is just a standard procedure that I've been working on for a while. I've talked with the district clerk. She understands why we need this. There are reports that we need. There are some additional reports that the district judge's office needs. There's not any issues here. We have a letter presented for your signature that outlines what we need, and it will probably be an ongoing process. I thought Drew was coming up behind me. Also, when I started this, we do not have access to read-only records. In every department that we audit, we do a subsidiary report with their software that we run in our office to maintain the integrity of what we are given. And again, this is just a work in progress. We want the same access with the district clerk's office. We've discussed it. I don't see any problems with this. Drew needs to be able to manage it to a certain degree, and he will speak on that.
Okay, Mr. Whitaker.
Gentlemen, all I'm asking for is access basically to, like Ms. Kidd said, to manage it if need be. I've had several departments in the past over the years have called asking for access to this, and of course, I've had to give them the same answer. We don't control it, even though we pay for it every year. We don't control it. We have nothing to do with it. You'd have to ask the district clerk. And of course, they might not like that answer, but that's the answer that we've given them. And so that's all I've asked for, is really just to maintain the system. And in case any other department might need it, we can give them access to it.
Which is standard with every other.
Which is standard with every other system that any department needs.
So how long have we been on the Tyler system?
Since 2014? I think 13 for financials.
13 or 14.
Pretty sure 13 for in-code financials.
I was not here. That was my predecessor, Jackie Solomon.
And that software was just initiated at the district clerk's office?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
We've been on it for 5 years.
So y'all been on it, and it was just, but just the district clerk's office uses that?
Yes, sir.
And up until now, you haven't had access to audit or to?
That is correct, or to manage it, really.
Or to what?
Manage it.
Manage the software?
So who manages it now?
The district clerk's office, I guess?
You don't know?
I have no clue. I mean, all I know is I paid the bill for it.
You pay the bill out of your,
Yes, out of my budget.
Your budget, but you can't manage it?
Correct. I know it. I know.
So this letter will allow you to basically, or I guess it's a letter that we're telling the district clerk to let you get into the software, is that correct?
Actually, the letter is addressed to Eric Williams at Tyler Technologies. He is one of the managers in the Odyssey section of Tyler. And I have been in conversations with him explaining what I need, what Drew needs, because he's communicated that with me, because it all had to be in a letter, be succinct, and to indicate what we need, so that they will, once you pass this in court, once the judge signs it, we will be able to get a user license to do this, to be able to run reports. That's all I want to do, is run reports.
So this letter's going to say, you have a list of individuals that can access this software.
Well, that's why I say, that's why the letter also states that this is an ongoing process. I don't know all the reports we'll need. I'm going to work with Denton County. I've been in contact with them. Mr. Williams indicated that they were very well-versed in the Odyssey reports that our county might need. So as this, again, this is a work in progress, just to get some access to running financial reports to verify the information given to us by the district clerk.
So let me sum this up then, so I can understand exactly what's going on here. This letter is to go to the provider of the software.
Yes, sir.
To give us keys, so to speak, to the ignition, where you can actually go in there and review what you need to review as a county auditor, because the district clerk's not letting you do it. Is that what pretty much?
Now, she gives us reports, but I have no way to verify them. We get monthly reports. Then that's the problem. When we audit, we have to ask her for the information instead of being able to run it independently. That's not a good audit.
Do you have access to every other department's financial information so you can audit them?
Yes, sir.
So the only one you're not able to audit is the district clerks?
Yes, sir.
And this will allow you to just bypass whether she lets you or not if we go straight to Tyler. Is that correct?
Sir, I'm hoping we can work together, and she can help me with the reports that I need. That's my plan. I want to have a good working relationship with every department.
Yeah, well, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Yes, I'm going to make a motion to allow the county judge to sign the proposed letter to Tyler Software to allow the audit information technology and district judge departments access to Odyssey records and financial reports currently under the sole control of the district clerk.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Eagle to allow the county judge to sign a letter to Tyler Software to allow the audit, information technology, and district judge departments access to the Odyssey records and financial reports currently under the sole control of the district clerk, second by Commissioner White. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you,
Do you have the letter?
Thank you. You should have it, sir.
Well, I'm looking in my folder, and I don't have it. I have the thing it says, but let's go ahead and finish, and then you got it here?
Yeah, I switched the thing.
Okay, well, good, and then I'll sign it afterwards then. Okay. Item number 9, discuss and take appropriate action to revise the current Commissioners Court date schedule.
Judge, last court, you wasn't here. I called Commissioner Evil.
Eager.
But I
I didn't know it was that hard. I mean,
Is that Eager Beaver?
There are some persons in this county that would probably agree with that description. I do not, but there are
But
some
I do
people.
apologize, and I did, and I got it straightened out. Commissioner
Eagle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judge, on this right here, I'm pretty sure 3 of the court members is going to this North and East Texas Judges Commissioners Conference in Nacogdoches, and I don't know if any more is going. So that's going to make the court, short of a quorum. So, and the school starts on a Monday, and the court is scheduled for the 12th. So we have options here. It's the court's flavor, and what'd be easier for the auditor and treasurer to do is pick a date, say Friday, May the 8th, or whatever. It's up to the court and what's good for the treasurer and the auditor, because they have to do the reports and everything to get it to the court. The Friday before would be a good date, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. Or we could do it the week after.
What do you think, James?
Friday the 8th. That way give people, get us organized for the court, to get our backups and all that on a Thursday. Or we could do it the next week. It's completely up to y'all. But the next week will be a week before the next court, so.
So you're wanting to hold court on the 8th?
If y'all so please, and it works out for the treasurer and the auditor.
Leanne, is that when you're doing the payroll?
It should be done by Friday. Friday's fine with me.
Okay.
Change it from May 12th to May 8th.
Yes, if that's approval of the court, and
5 o'clock at the convention.
yes, and the auditor's going to pay for it.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Deaver because of the Northeast Texas Judges Conference, Commissioners Conference. It's going to be held in Nacogdoches, and we're going to all be out and probably not a quorum, to move the scheduled May 12th, 2020 meeting to May 8th, 2020 at the regular time, 9 a.m. at the same location here at the Central Jury Room. Did somebody second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Commissioner Cotton. So,
James?
Honorable Commissioner Deaver. So, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Mr. Deaver.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the last item is item number 10. Consider resolution authorizing the filing of a project application with the North Central Texas Council of Governments for a recycling improvement project. Environmental health. Jeannie.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. On September the 24th, the Commissioners Court approved environmental health to move forward on a grant. And the title of the grant will be Hood County Recycling Improvement Project under the Source Reduction and Recycling category. The grant would be from the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and the funds I'm requesting are $58,070. It's going to be for a building, an aluminum and steel can densifier, and a forklift. The submittal was turned in on the 1st of, the
1st and the 3rd of 2020, and it is awaiting a resolution from the Hood County Court. I am scheduled to give a presentation, if the court approves this, on January the 21st, which is next Tuesday at 12:50 with the North Central Texas Council of Governments in Arlington.
Jeannie, I want to ask you one question. I was reading your resolution. It says if grant project is funded, Hood County will comply with requirements of NITCOG, TCEQ, and the state of Texas. Can you tell me some of the requirements that?
Well, that's what the prior grants have all been based off of also. I believe this is the 4th grant that Hood County will have received, working on the collection station. And I used the wording from those prior grants to come up with this resolution.
In the past, it hasn't cost the county anything, has it?
Okay, the way this will work, I believe there was a timeline in there.
Yes.
That started for everything. By January of 2021, Hood County will actually pay these fees in advance. And by January of 2021, the $58,070 would be reimbursed back to Hood
All at
County.
once, or would it be paid all at once back, or would
Well,
it be?
we can submit it back in as the project, as long as our timeline is in accordance to what I have set with the.
In compliance,
Do what?
you stay in compliance.
Yes, if I stay in compliance.
So let me, you correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to spend $58,000, and then if you get the grant, they're going to give it back to us
Yes,
by January of '21.
yes.
Okay. But we're going to spend the money first.
Right.
But we're going to wait till you find out if you're funded or if your grant is accepted.
It'll be in March.
And that's when we'll
It'll be this
know.
March, which allows me to start getting the vendors and stuff about the 6th of April and lining all of the project out.
But we won't spend the money until Hood County's approved for a grant, right?
Right.
Okay.
Nothing, it can't. We can't spend anything until after it's approved because they won't reimburse us
Right.
for any of that money.
I'm just trying to be clear, get it straight in my mind.
Where's the money originally coming from?
That's what I said, that's the next question.
We don't have that budgeted.
What's the benefit? I mean, any type of recycling program, that sounds real good, and it sounds something that we need. That area, is there a need for Hood County to have this recycling project?
Yes, sir. We are currently baling with the cardboard bales. One of the requests I'm making is for a building to house those cardboard bales, which is in our Smurfit contract, and they have been paying us. It's not a large amount yet. The price of recycles has moved up. This would allow me to house those bales in that structure.
Out of the weather, right? Out of the weather, where they're not getting rained on.
Do what?
Where they're not getting rained on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
That is
similar to a
correct.
pole barn of like what we're building for road opposite
Yes,
equipment.
that's-
And you're asking for a forklift,
Yes.
money for a forklift to pick up the bales and be able to move them around.
Yes, the bales, the cardboard bales weigh approximately 1,000 pounds. We have a handheld forklift that we can pull the bale out of the bale room, because there have been days we have baled in the 6 hours we're open, we have baled 2 cardboard bales.
But you can't use that out in a parking lot because it's too rough.
We can't, you're not
It
strong
wouldn't
enough
be
to
strong
move them.
enough. It's a manual. All right.
So basically what we need to do, what you're asking, is that we set aside this amount of money to do this project contingent on you getting the grant approved, right?
Right.
And that would be in March, so we'd need the money in March, right? Or whenever you got
Right. I mean, we would have to have the funds up front, but the earliest date, I believe, is June or July. August is the time frame before, for the building to be finished, would be like September 1st.
Well, but help me out with this. So we would need to set aside the money right now? In other words, okay, so we need to set aside the money right now contingent on getting the grant in March. So right now, we'd just be making a line item, and putting it over in an account or what have you, correct, to be used for that. If you get the grant, we spend that money to do what you need to do, but then we get that back as long as you jump through all the hoops that they want you to jump through.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Becky, where would the money come from?
You have a black hat you can on?
Well, it's a capital improvement, we're talking about a building
Yeah.
and a forklift.
Fund 55, right?
Fund
Everything else
55, our magic, that's the magic black hat, isn't it?
That can be a magic black hat, but what I would actually like to do, with your permission, is I have a fund to move money into Fund 55. I have a category to move money into Fund 55. Since this is sort of a capital project, and then there's other things she has to do with it, I'd like to move it into Fund 103, and if they reimburse the Fund 103, we can do a journal entry, a budget amendment, and reduce the money that would go into Fund 55 and increase the money that would go into Fund 103. It would be all captured, and she probably has to manage that also, so I'd rather it be in that fund anyway.
Separate fund where it could be managed.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're agreeable with that.
Right now, I know that Road Ops has to go and move the bundles for them and do a lot of extra stuff, and a lot of times they're not available. And I know that she does need a forklift and, a way to keep these bundles out of the rain. And she's asking for a building for employees that she can use for a restroom also.
No, we cannot use this building at all for a restroom.
You can't? Okay.
I tried that, but they wouldn't
okay.
let me.
I got you.
I had to take that back off.
Okay, well, as long as it's legit, we got the money available, it can be done. I think it's a worthwhile project to get the money back. You always have been able to meet their demands and be in compliance, haven't you, Janie?
Yes, sir.
That's good. And you can always call on Clint Head and Don Lenny to help you anyway, so that's good if they're available. Anyway, okay, do I hear a motion?
Judge, I'd like to make that motion and approving this resolution to go forward with the project application of North Central Texas Council of Governments for a recycling improvement project of $58,070.
Okay, here a second.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Deaver, second by Commissioner White, to authorize the filing of the project application with the North Central Texas County of Government for a recycling improvement project in the amount of $58,070. Thank you very much.
I'll bring that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Judge, this is also I will have the resolution signed.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. But before that. Yeah. Who signs that resolution? I think it's a judge. All of us? Okay, good, you got this up.